Success leaves clues, and successful health and fitness entrepreneurs are no different. Some of these 12 habits of successful health and fitness entrepreneurs will potentially surprise you, though. Before I launch into these, let me introduce myself. I'm Deborah Atkinson, and you're listening to James, a voice for fitness. And at Voice for Fitness, we believe that you want to be an inspirational example to midlife women. In order to do that, you need a profitable health and fitness coaching business. The problem is potentially a lack of clients and or a lack of revenue for those of you caught charging too little. That makes you feel uncertain about whether you can succeed. We believe you deserve consistent, dependable revenue from clients that you love. We understand how this feels because, listen, I have been there too, which is why I now train fitness professionals internationally. Here's how I do it. I meet with you on a call. You and I create a plan of action, and we celebrate your growth because every little step in the right direction garners a reason for celebrating because it is hard to take consistent steps in the right direction. So you can book a call, but in the meantime, get your health and fitness professionals business scorecard so you can stop feeling like your dream is slipping away while other less qualified and less heart-centered coaches make sales and get more clients. And instead, you can start easily increasing your revenue by at least $5,000 a month in the first 90 days. Okay, now listen, we're going to dive into number one. And I'm going to check in with you every once in a while. Do not drift away on me, all right? Stay tuned, pay attention. Number one is get a morning routine. Everybody is saying that, I know, but it's so very important. And it's not just for your health. Get a morning routine related to what sets you on fire, brain-wise, to have the energy upstairs that you need. Complete this sentence for yourself. Blank first. Like what needs to happen first? You know what that is. There's something that has to happen before you can be productive. Is it meditation? Is it exercise? Is it that you need to eat the frog first from Brian Tracy? In other words, do the things that you don't like first, get them out of the way. For me, that's it. And you know, one of the things that I really hate is logging into, I use EC Suite. That's kind of my third party from a merchant, from the website to the merchant. There is this Easy Suite. I need to go in there regularly and look at, what has happened. Have there been any chargebacks? Is everything, am I getting the money deposited in my bank account that I should be? And I hate this part. Right? I like the science. I would go to PubMed all day. Really? And it sounds like what Sandals, right? The resort, PubMed, hardly, right? Where you would geek out on science and research all morning. Yeah, it's not what you think. It's not the resort. It's not that. But you've got to figure out what is it that gets you going first thing, and that lays the foundation for you having a better work day for many of the things that are about to come. But number two, the second habit is get an evening routine. How you end the day determines how you start the next. Stephen Covey's principles, they're still in circulation today, even though he's long gone because they work. His book, The 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, is a book or audible book now, if you would rather, worth listening to. And yet it won't be news. Nothing in it will be news. All the things we need to do are really kind of tucked in these 12 habits. And this is one. With a recent contractor, I asked that each day we touch base with priorities for her to work on early in the day. And then at the end of the day, we kind of do a check-in with where are we on those tasks, because not everything is going to get done. You want it to maybe, but there's, steps that have to happen. It passes off, has to go somewhere else, come back. And, you want to finish that way. So knowing a contractor has more clients than just you, by the way, if you're hiring out right now, your business can't wait right? I mean, for you, your business is the most important thing, but to a contractor, they've got other things going on. You need to know exactly, what is the next task for the next day? And should they be busy with somebody else, you know that your tasks have to move forward. So maybe you have to pick up the slack or somebody else in your team does. You want to keep it on schedule with mini deadlines and avoid the stress of last minute items. But that only happens if you do that beginning of the day priorities, end of the day wrap up. Where are we with those priorities? So we know tomorrow where we're starting. Number three is surround yourself with successful people. So these are in pretty much order of importance so far. Morning routine, evening routine, and surround yourself with successful people. Often, but not always, this involves paying to be around people smarter than you with more experience and more expertise than you. They probably got better hair than you do. It's just the way things are. If you're around people exactly like you, you'll find it hard to learn from each other without a mentor of some kind helping you see where you're spending time on things that will keep you stuck. It's lovely to have maybe an accountability partner, but you first better get the things you're being accountable for from somebody who can tell you, maybe you're just spinning around in circles. You're going to keep yourself in that same frame of mind and frame of business that you're in. You want to have someone who can look and say, the goals you've set up for your next 90 days are not going to take you anywhere. What's the value of them? So you have to have that outside source of eyes on your business. Pay to be the smallest person in the room. It honestly, it pays off. Number four, build a life you love while you're building a business. There are a lot of successful people in the world who are alone. And I would hesitate to say, but not for too long, lonely. They've built a business and they have the discipline to do it, but they did maybe at the expense of family and friends. It was a choice, maybe not consciously. But you can't say, someday we'll do this, someday we'll do this for very long to a person who's worth it and have them stand by readily waiting in the wings without them probably developing some other habits, don't you think? So nurture the life you have and want all along the way. There is this thing that everybody has always called work-life balance. It's probably more of a work-life flow. Sometimes work is up. Sometimes the life part needs to be up as well. And you just need to know which is which. And when does the life part need to go up so the work part is better when you're doing it? Habit number five is be unapologetically you. Now, how you develop this habit is really, a part of being authentic. I'm going to tell you a really personal way that I've done this recently. I have started to feel like a little bit of an imposter, and I'm not talking about the imposter syndrome that everybody talks about. Like, what if somebody really knew I didn't really know what I was talking about? We all feel like somebody knows better. They're going to blow me out of the whistle or blow the whistle on me. You know, I don't know. If you're making things up, that would be true. If you're using science to do what you're doing, probably not. You're going to be fine. You can justify it and you better get behind it. You can back it up. But this is where I felt like I've recently started looking at whether my business is age proofed. And that's the name of a masterclass that I teach for continuing education. I teach it for international fitness associations. So breakout sessions at conferences, essentially. And I have started looking at it myself. And I'm not sure, right, that I'm careful about how I pick the names of our programs and what I say. But I'm sure there has been some creep of portraying younger, portraying youth as the way to go. I can't say I've never done Botox. I don't know. Maybe you can. Did I just tell you a secret? I don't know. Um, and I think to each her own. That's a decision you have to make for yourself, like so many other things. But I've been coloring my hair since I was 27 when I started to go gray. It's a trait for females in our family. We've all, every woman in my family that I know does. The alternative is the guys have receding hairlines or lose it. And so this is the better of the two. Thank you very much. However, I am so sick and tired. I mean, I don't just see salt and pepper come in, at 3 or 4 weeks now. I see literally like a half-inch line. I mean, it looks like the 50-yard line in a football field, for crying out loud. And I just think, do I really want to keep coloring this hair, or should I let it go? So I'm looking at unapologetic, unapologetically me spitting that out. Maybe working through this transparently. So I'm talking about it. And I said last Friday was the last time I'm going to color my hair. I'm going to try to grow it out. And I reserve the right to, do some touch ups along the way. And I reserve the right to, if it grows out and I feel like this is ugly or it's not flattering for my face, or I don't feel it, I don't feel energetically myself when I'm doing it, I reserve the right to go back to coloring if I want to. It's my choice. And that's being unapologetically you. It's not whether I color my hair or I don't color my hair, whether I do my nails or don't, or do Botox or don't, but it's making your own decisions, not apologizing for them and not hiding. I will go online live or go live on social without makeup in my pajamas to deliver a message that is timely, that needs to be done right now. And it needs to be done whether I go put on some makeup, powder my nose, put on mascara, look perfect. That's me. I'm not going to apologize for being in my pajamas and not having makeup on. I'm just going to say, look, this is the way it is. You don't work out in your makeup fully. Well, some of you do. I don't know. Maybe you do. But that is just, I don't. I sweat. And you should see me during a triathlon. It's awful. So, but that's the way it's meant to be. So the reason you will be successful is because of whatever ways you would answer those questions. They will be different than mine. And I think you should have your answers and I should have mine. And that is why there's room for both of us. There's room for your voice. There's room for my voice. There are millions of people in the world who need this. Be unapologetically yourself. What do you love to do? What are you good at? Blend those two things. Add your personal stories. Nothing else less than that will cut it today. People love transparency, honesty, and an approachable personality. So don't apologize, but definitely don't try to be like junior high, fitting in, looking like the cool kids, unless, of course, you are a cool kid. Number 6 is be unapologetic about committing to growth. And I mean business growth, but this could also be personal growth. And we'll get to that in a second. But about business growth, which means if you're starting a business in your first year and your first 2 years, and I would say for me, man, it was the first 3 to 5 years. I was still struggling at 5 years to learn things. You have to remember, this was pre-pandemic. And that was probably 3 years pre-pandemic that I was at about 5 years. And there wasn't the ease of here's how you start an online business that there is today because of the pandemic. There wasn't this ease of everybody knows what Zoom is. I was using GoToWebinar. Actually, we still do. I prefer it as a platform, except when the rare occasion I need to see people's faces, or bodies, and they need to, they can see mine if I allow them to on GoToWebinar, but it doesn't go the other way. But this is you committing to your growth means you're going to make some sacrifices. You are going to have to say to your family, I can't go on vacation. You're going to miss some girlfriend weekends. You're going to miss, some watching TV with the family. You're going to have your laptop, sitting there while you're watching a movie with your family, and your kids will say to you, you work all the time. Mine did. Broke my heart. And it was true. And I was like, I don't know how to do this otherwise. Like right now, single mom, I'm doing this to earn the bread and butter piece that keeps me really busy. And this is the extra. If I want this to grow and stabilize, there will be moments when you do that. If you are committed to this business, it's like a baby or a puppy. Some ways your puppy still is going to need boarding, right? They're not going to let themselves out, go to the bathroom, wipe their buns. The baby will grow up, but your business is always going to need some kind of support. But be unapologetic about that. That's a habit as well. You have to be willing to be misunderstood. Some people will not get it. People who are born to have a job and an employer and a regular paycheck paid by someone else may not get what you're doing. If you're breaking out or you quit to start what you really want to do, other people may not understand it. If you don't, quote unquote, have to do it, but you are committed to growth as if you did, you're truly making this not a hobby, but a business. Other people may not understand it, and you have to be okay with that. Okay, so hold on with me. Are you still there? You are halfway through the 12 Habits of Successful Health and Fitness Entrepreneurs list. I want you to come back to me. If you're multitasking, and I'm going to ask you this. If you had breast cancer this year and you recovered, would this list have more meaning to you because of that kind of an event? Listen to these last 6 habits as if that were true, or something else. If health and fitness are absolutely your passion, it will be clear if this is true, if you would want to come back after something major like this happened in your life, or after or during an emotional divorce or a family tragedy, if you come back to this as if this is the thing you can't not do, you can't not think about it, then you know. But if this is just something that is like on the side, like you have actually life over here and you feel this is really my life, this is just something I'm doing, like for entertainment, there's a big difference to are you an entrepreneur who really is developing a business? There's no wrong answer to this. But if you really want to grow and treat your business like a revenue generating business, then you have to be willing to do some tough things. Number 7 is grow personally. This, I promise you, this one is a given if you are committed to the other 6 things we've already talked about. If you buy into everything I've said so far and you do it, growing a business is like the fastest route to personal growth. My mentor says that. Life happens when you're growing a business. However, it's how you handle it that's the biggest part of your growth. During my business growth period, I got divorced without it being public. I mean, I got divorced. I continued to do everything I was doing. People didn't even know until after the fact. At the brink of starting Flipping 50, my life literally fell apart. Or at the time, that's what it felt like. And then we and my family experienced a truly terrible family tragedy. I learned what really falling apart meant. I've hired people wrong for the job, lovely people, but wrong for the job, and tried to make it right only to be sorry later. That's a learning experience. I've waited too long for people to do the right thing and then behaved myself with a level of integrity I am embarrassed about. And so now it's easier for me to watch in amazement at the struggle of finding support, somebody who really wants to take ownership and responsibility for a job, and somebody who has integrity about how they say goodbye if they're saying goodbye. It's an interesting world right now. But when you grow personally doing the job, at first it is painful. It's like a child falling down, scraping their knees riding a bike. It's that kind of hurt and pain, road rash kind of pain. But later, some of those same things then you come to expect them. And I will never forget, there is a mentor who probably doesn't realize he is still a mentor for me. He long ago built a custom website for me, and some of you probably get there still by mistake today. That website was voiceforfitness.com, and it will reroute you to Flipping 50 now. And I remember he and I used to speak on campus at Iowa State for the entrepreneur community, which was really brand new, very, very brand new back then, probably early 2000s. And he would speak because he had big global business. I would speak because I had a smaller coaching and online and virtual kind of business that was a new thing at the moment. And we would walk out together and I would hear him talk and then he would hear mine. And I would say something to him after about, I watched you deal with lots of stressors. I hear you talking about them. I said, how do you handle that? Just regularly coming up because you are just so very calm. And he said, I have just learned to expect that there are going to be stressors. Like somebody's going to quit, somebody will need to be fired, and I will have to look for more people. But that is just a part of every business day now. That's not, I'm never at the point where like I expected to. I have this team in place. They're going to always be my team. And that's just, we're going to live happily ever after. So when it changes is when you realize that is a part of the everyday going to work, that there will be turnover, that the wrong person may end up. You try to do it less often. You pick more of the right person. They stay longer. They do better work while they're there. And you get used to that idea. And, I think that that was great, but that was probably personal growth for him that you and I can benefit from years of experience and hundreds and thousands of employees in different continents actually. Number 8 is stop pretending that busy is productive. And I want to tell you, I am guilty of this one. And I'm not sure where this came from me, but I suspect maybe my life is very different than for some of you. If you are at home and you are married with children or married without children, this may be very different for you because you're stable. You do have things and people who want to fill your free time, who want probably more of your free time. And I'm single. I moved to Boulder where I lived in the mountains. So I had a dog at the time, but I lived in the mountains alone. When I think about what I did, like as a single woman and lived up in the mountains by myself, I didn't think twice about that. But I know a lot of people may not have done that, but I would do it again in a heartbeat. I do it now. I would move back in a heartbeat if homes were not at the expense that they are right now. But I fill my time sometimes with work because I'm so passionate about it. I actually have to be disciplined and pull myself away because I thrive on creativity. It's one of my greatest values. And sometimes I pour that creativity into the business when I probably should be pouring that into like a sketch pad and pencils that I actually leave out in my living room so that I do that. And a camera that I leave sitting up so I can think about going to take pictures. I put a putting green and a chipping pad in my backyard so that I pull away and go do other things. But you also have to stop pretending that just being busy, so just having that laptop and playing with things is not necessarily productive. This is where you need that identification of what things are actually making you the most money and find out, is that really the most profit? So, it comes back to not just what you love to do, but is it profitable for you? And where do you want this to go? If you need this to scale, to survive, to thrive, to retire someday, or not to have to retire, but want to be able to do things with your money that you're making and have freedom to choose to or not to, then you want to think like a business person. It's easy to spin around just doing things, pretending that you're working hard. And if it's not working, you may be saying the wrong things to the wrong people. right things to the wrong people. But you need to discern which is which. And if you can't, this is where, again, you go back and you get help. Number 9 is believe that it's doable. And this is like, how is that a habit? On a regular daily basis, try meditation, try manifesting, try journaling about it as if it's happening. But whatever you need to do to put yourself in the future vision that you see for yourself, not here, not in fear, not thinking about what you don't want and where you are or how long or far you have to go, but you have to regularly think about where you want to be and see it happening, because you've got to create that reality now. Otherwise, if you keep replaying where you've been and the struggle that you're in, you will stay in the struggle. Boy, that is a hard one for a lot of people to get through. Let me tell you how hard I'm working on this one. I am going to a week-long, 7-day meditation retreat in order to work on mine, because it's oh so easy to spend, 12 hours, 12 waking hours thinking more about all you have to do, how much work there is to do, how much more you want to do, how much greater impact you want. But do you hear what I'm saying? All those things really portray the struggle and the work and the heavy busyness that I'm in. And if I keep thinking about that, or you do in your own business and head, you'll stay there. So I have to think down the road, what do I really want it to look like? What would be the ideal individual who comes into my business? In what role? And what will they do? What will they behave like? How will they communicate? I have to see exactly what it is I want. In every area of your business, we have to learn how to start thinking like that. But that's your personal life too. Let's say you're struggling right now. A relationship isn't what you want, whether it's a friendship or your significant other, your intimacy partner. Is it that you're thinking about the struggle and what's wrong, what you don't like? Or are you thinking about what it is that you want, how it will be when it's perfect, whether this partner or a different one, or one that you're trying to attract? I mean, those things are really important. So, believing it's doable is so very intangible, and yet part of the most important part of getting the tangible. Number 10 is confirm the actions are right and then just do them. Following through here is really, really important, but it's when we go into action before we know that we're doing the right thing. That is like watching one of those 4-year-olds. You've seen this on a soccer field, score for the other team. It happens all the time, right? I mean, they're like overjoyed and everybody's cheering, but they don't realize it's like, no, 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 go the other way, go the other way. And it's like, oh, you just got to let them go, right? Whatever. They just want the treat. It's why they're there. But you have to really know, what are you supposed to be doing? And this is where, it pays to put yourself in a group where you have a mentor who's steps ahead of you, still doing what you're doing, still understanding the struggles you're going through, still knowing what works right now, because you don't want somebody telling you, here's what worked in 1992, because it's not going to work today. But you won't necessarily know this yourself. If you find it, you may have gotten lucky, and then you can't necessarily repeat with predictability, which is ultimately, that's what a business will be. Predictable results from a method that works. Number 11, hang in there with me. You're doing great. It's stop exchanging dollars for hours. Initially, you must do this. You're going to have to do whatever you do. Coach, train one-on-one. You have to have some kind of proof of concept. Posting on Instagram and TikTok regularly is not proof of concept. Concept comes with a unique set of steps laid out to get predictable results. That can't be meet with me 3 times a week, because that means you're just making other decisions within those sessions nobody else could repeat. Repeatable, predictable outcomes every time that those steps are applied. You have to have something unique, methodical, so that you could teach it, say, to 10 other coaches, and it would work with their clients equally as well. That doesn't come from anything except for doing one repetition after another. And a lot of times, here's what I find: a coach who feels like, I need to scale this business, we need more people, they probably need an influx of money right away. You want to be doing something with things you already are selling and find ways to make more money from each of them. And or you want to offer high ticket one-on-one right away. So if you were to sell, 5 packages at, $2,000 for private coaching with you, would that help you relax, exhale, so that then you could set up the other things and you would be testing your method? You can create a do-it-yourself course that is passive revenue, but you can't jump to that actually with much success. So you want to stop exchanging dollars for hours eventually. You may need to do it a little bit at first, but be thinking ahead, right? Stephen Covey also said, begin with the end in mind. So you've got to create that vision. That's why you may need to meditate. Number 12, you made it all the way to the end. Exchange overwork for important work. Earlier, I said you may have to be disciplined, dedicated. You may have to put long days in, but you don't want to put in long days every day, all day. The overwork and poor work won't make up for just doing high quality work. If you start doing the right thing, you can work fewer hours of every day, fewer hours every week, fewer days every week, and still get good habits. The last of these 12 habits is just this. It echoes the difference between busy and productive. However, this means you do stop working at times. You have discipline and discipline not to drive yourself into the ground. If you tend to judge your worth, your own personal worth, by achievement, accomplishment, you may struggle to pull away. This one may be one of the biggest challenges. So I would love to hear from you. Which one of these resonated most with you? Which one really spoke to you? One of them probably stood out more than others. Don't struggle alone. Don't try to grow alone. We are all looking for some kind of sense of community. I'm going to put some resources in the show notes, and there is the business scorecard. I will definitely put that one in there, and some copywriting course to women links, so that if you are getting in front of the right audience, you know the right words to put in front of her at the right time. Right words, wrong time, not a good fit. And right words, wrong woman, not a good fit. So you want to know all of that and how to put the pieces together. But it's also important that you identify which one of these would you probably most need first. The first 3 I gave to you in the most critical order. Get a morning routine, get an evening routine, and then surround yourself with successful people. Follow them, but don't imitate them. Don't try to be them, because remember, it's unapologetically you. Be that. And don't be afraid to stand up for yourself. When you want to grow a business, some of the people around you who don't have that entrepreneurial spirit may not understand it. And that is okay. That's why you're surrounding yourself with people who will and do get it. All right. What are you waiting for? It's your time. The world needs us right now more than ever. And you will find the show notes for today at fitnessmarketingmastery.com/12 habits of successful health.